The little girl was standing alone in the middle of a crowded city park, clutching a worn stuffed rabbit against her chest, tears streaming down her cheeks as hundreds of people passed by without noticing her. The late morning sun cast long shadows across the grass, and for a terrifying moment, it seemed as if she had been completely forgotten by the world. But one man stopped. One exhausted single father carrying the weight of his own struggles looked into her frightened eyes and made a decision that would change both of their lives forever. Before we begin, if you believe kindness can change destinies and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to Love and Destiny for more heartwarming stories that remind us of the power of compassion. Mason Hartley had spent the last 6 years raising his son alone. Life had not been kind to him. After losing his wife during a difficult illness, he found himself balancing endless work shifts, unpaid bills, and the emotional responsibility of being both father and mother to 8-year-old Owen. Every day felt like a battle against exhaustion. Yet despite everything, Mason never allowed bitterness to take root in his heart. His son remained the center of his universe. That Saturday morning, Mason had taken Owen to the city park for a few hours of fresh air before heading to his second job. While Owen played near the swings, Mason noticed something unusual near a fountain. A small girl, no older than 6, stood completely alone. Her blonde hair was tangled from the wind, and her face was red from crying. People glanced at her but kept walking. Some assumed a parent was nearby. Others simply didn't want to get involved. Mason's heart immediately sank. The little girl looked terrified. As he approached, he realized she was trembling. Her tiny fingers held a stuffed rabbit so tightly that her knuckles had turned white. She seemed too scared even to speak. Mason knelt a safe distance away and gently asked if she was lost. The child nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. She could barely say her own name. All she managed to whisper was Aria. For the next hour, Mason searched every corner of the park while contacting security and local authorities. No parent appeared. No frantic mother came running. No one seemed to be looking for her. Eventually, police officers arrived and began handling the situation, but Aria refused to let go of Mason's hand. Whenever he stepped away, panic filled her eyes. Something about her fears struck him deeply. It reminded him of the loneliness he had seen in Owen after losing his mother. As authorities worked to identify her family, Mason and Owen stayed nearby. Hours passed. The little girl remained quiet, frightened, and withdrawn. Yet gradually, Owen managed to make her smile by sharing snacks and telling silly stories. For the first time all day, Aria laughed. It was a small sound. But it changed everything. The police discovered that Aria had somehow wandered away from a private transportation service while traveling across the city. However, there was confusion regarding emergency contacts, and locating her family was taking longer than expected. Night approached. Mason knew he should leave. He had work. He had responsibilities. But something wouldn't let him walk away. After receiving temporary approval from authorities while they continued their search, Mason helped care for Aria at a local family assistance center. During those hours, he learned that she had experienced a frightening series of events that left her confused and scared. Though she spoke little, it became clear she desperately needed stability and comfort. Days passed. The search for her family continued. News reports spread across the city. Social media posts circulated. Yet no one came. Mason found himself thinking about Aria constantly. Owen did too. The little girl had somehow become part of their daily lives. She began smiling more often. She started drawing pictures. Most of all, she began trusting people again. Meanwhile, Mason's own life remained difficult. Bills piled up. His truck needed repairs. His apartment rent was overdue. Many nights he skipped meals so Owen could have enough. Yet despite his struggles, he continued showing kindness to Aria whenever possible. He never expected anything in return. Then one afternoon, everything changed. A fleet of black luxury vehicles arrived outside the Family Assistance Center. Security personnel appeared. Reporters gathered. Employees whispered in confusion. And from one of the vehicles stepped an elegant woman dressed in simple but unmistakably expensive clothing. Her eyes scanned the building with desperate urgency. The moment Arya saw her, she froze. Then she ran. The woman dropped to her knees as the little girl threw herself into her arms. Both began crying instantly. The room fell silent. After weeks of uncertainty, Arya's mother had finally arrived. But what happened next shocked everyone. The woman was not only Arya's mother. She was Vivian Croswell, one of the youngest billionaire entrepreneurs in the country. Her companies employed thousands. Her name appeared regularly in business magazines and international headlines. Yet none of that mattered in that moment. She was simply a mother who had finally found her daughter. As Vivian listened to the details of how Mason had helped protect and comfort Arya, tears filled her eyes repeatedly. She learned how he had stayed long after others left. How he had sacrificed time, energy, and resources despite his own hardships. But then came the revelation nobody expected. Vivian explained that years earlier, before building her business empire, she had faced immense financial struggles herself. During one particularly desperate period, she had been stranded with almost nothing. A stranger had quietly paid for a hotel room and food when she had nowhere to go. That act of kindness had given her enough hope to keep moving forward. She never learned the man's name. Until now. The records from that night had eventually surfaced. The stranger who had helped her years ago was Mason. Neither of them had recognized each other. Time had changed their appearances. Life had carried them in different directions. But fate had remembered. The room stood frozen in disbelief. Years earlier, Mason had unknowingly helped a struggling young woman expecting nothing in return. Now that same woman had returned as a billionaire whose daughter had been protected by the very man who once saved her during her darkest hour. Vivian later told reporters that true wealth wasn't measured by money but by character. She explained that Mason had demonstrated compassion twice without knowing who she was or what she might become. Days later, opportunities began appearing for Mason. Not because he asked for help, but because kindness often creates ripples far beyond what we can see. Vivian helped connect him with resources, employment opportunities, and support that allowed him to build a more secure future for Owen. Most importantly, the friendship between their families continued. Arya never forgot the man who stopped when everyone else kept walking. Owen never forgot the little girl who taught him that even strangers can become family. And Mason never forgot that the smallest acts of compassion can return in ways nobody could ever predict. As this story comes to a close, remember that every person you meet may be fighting a battle you cannot see. A simple act of kindness today could transform someone's future tomorrow. Special request: comment below with the word kindness if you believe one small good deed can change an entire life. And if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Love and Destiny. Your support helps keep these inspiring stories alive and allows more people to discover the incredible power of compassion, hope, and second chances. Because sometimes, the people we help today become the miracle we need tomorrow. The little girl who once stood lost and alone in a crowded park was eventually reunited with her mother. But perhaps the greatest reunion of all was between kindness and destiny, proving that the good we put into the world never truly disappears. It simply waits for the perfect moment to find its way home.